Now we have a presentation of our community with slides.
Before I forget, I just want to let you know we have these sheets. If you want to, please leave your name and your address if you want to receive our letter and information about our convent. So I'll leave them. You'll see them. I don't know where I just leave them.
And also we have a website in English. And you can, Dominicans, Avrille, Dominicans, and you will have very easily the website. And spiritual topics and also on the crises and the liturgy, to feed the souls also.
Is there anybody here who knows how to use a computer? Like
I know.
do you know how you put on a slideshow?
No problem. Okay. Okay, good.
Well, basically, I'm just going to show you his pictures and explain a little bit.
Every time you want to pass, you hit that, okay?
This is I'm going to sit because that way you'll be able to see better. Here's the convent. You can see the facade on the right. This was the monastery was founded in the 12th century. Of course, at the time it wasn't a Dominican monastery. It was an order that no longer exists. The facade that you see is sort of the reconstruction from the 17th century. But the church, you can see a part of the church on the left, is from the 12th century.
Were you not affected by the French Revolution?
Yes, but it was what saved it because as I said, the order no longer exists. It was suppressed in the 18th century, maybe 15 years before the revolution. That's what saved it, because if it had still been a church at the time of the revolution, it would have been dismantled. But it was private property at the time, so but you can see the church a bit better. So that's actually Providence. Our fathers came in 1975. They weren't yet, and they didn't yet have the habit, but that's when they were actually at the time members of a French Catholic youth group, and they bought the convent in order to be a printing house and a place for summer camps. And when they started the Dominican order under the auspices of Archbishop Lefebvre, that's when they continued the restoration work, and they turned it into a convent. So there'll be other pictures. This is a view from the school. You can, I don't know if you'll see it. Well, there's another picture from the. That was actually one wing that had been dismantled for the stones, so it was rebuilt in the 1990s. Well, it was finished around like 2000. I think. It's
It's not finished.
Yeah, it's not different. There's going to be stones. That's like you can just see the cement face of it. It's the church. Voilà. This is all from the 17th. Here's the cloister. Cloister. There's Archbishop Lefebvre during one of his many visits to the convents. This was the cloister is still being redone, but at least the pavement. This is Bishop Tissi de Mallory, who blessed the cross. You can see the entrance to the church. Okay, here's the church. Okay. Like that's not a. It's too bad. I hope doesn't. Is there a? You can't see it in this picture, but in our office, I don't know if you're familiar with the office, the divine office sung by the Benedictines, but they're normally standing the whole time. And if you see the society priests, they're sitting the whole time. In our office, the priests sit, one side sits and one side stands. You just see them, that's the Gloria Patri, so they're all standing just before to incline. But it's
Action and contemplation.
yeah, it symbolizes the mixed Dominican life, the active life and the contemplative life. I think there'll be another picture where you see them sitting, one side sitting and one side standing. Now they're all kneeling. Here's the sacristy and
The crypt.
the crypt. Actually, okay. Now I realize why those photos are in this order. We're going to follow the day of the monks. So just before we saw the pictures of them saying the divine office in the church, that was matins. Normally after matins is it depends on the time of the year, but normally it's around 5:00. And after matins there was mental prayer, which is why you saw the fathers all kneeling. And then after mental prayer, they come down to the crypt to say their private masses, at least the priests who don't have their mass to say at 10:00. So we have this crypt was finished around 2000. Bishop Tissier de Malaray came and consecrated the 8 altars. He was basically on the floor at the end because it took many hours to perform the ceremony. But we have 8 altars in the crypt for because we're 11 priests. So when there's priests visiting, we need many altars at the same time, so they can all say their mass at the same time. Well, there's mass. That's a picture of the ceremony when Bishop Tissier de Malaray came to consecrate the altars. Okay, after the mass, the morning mass, normally the brothers, the student brothers have their classes. This is a picture, it's an old picture because at the time we had classes with, at the same time with the Capuchins. So you see the ones with the beards are not Dominicans, they're Capuchins. They would come to Avrille for a couple of weeks to have a class, and then we would come to Morgon, where the Capuchins are, to have a class with their teachers. This is the classroom. Well, this is another class. Classes. Well, this is one of the cells of the brothers for study time after the classes. When take notes or copy down their notes after the classes. Well, in each cell we have each brother has the permission to have one crucifix, one image of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and one image of Saint Dominic. So you see the cross with the Blessed Virgin Mary, and then Saint Dominic is on the right, and then there's just the bed and the bookshelf and the desk. This is study time in the classroom, same thing. Okay, this is, I would imagine he's preparing for the conventual mass at 10:00. And there's, the masses in the morning are all private masses, but there's the official mass of the community at 10:00. Normally the whole, it's the whole community that should assist or attend the mass, but since we're not very, it should be sung every day with the whole community, but for the moment we can only have one sung mass a week during the week, apart from Sunday. He's in the sacristy preparing the mass. This is from the Solemn High Mass. For those of you who aren't priests, this photo probably won't shock you very much, but for the priests,
very shocking.
For this, it's something you would never see in a Roman Rite Mass. And they prepare the chalice at the banquet. I don't know what I said. The farthest the bench.
Yes.
Anyway, well, this is one of we took a picture of this because it's a particularity of the Dominican rite. Dominican rite.
Surprise.
Well,
They started by pouring the wine and the water at the beginning of the mass.
right, that's even at the low mass. And here's another scene from the Solemn High Mass.
Gospel, the song of the
Let's see,
gospel.
the gospel being sung. Almost the consecration. There, you can see,
the school.
right, there's boys from the school. I'll talk about the school later. I hope there's pictures of it. But organ, Scola,
Scholar.
Mass. Here's Mass. Mass. Okay, this is a picture of the profession ceremony when the brother makes profession. There's a whole ceremony, and they prostrate themselves on the ground, and then they ask for they recite the formula. The Father Prior asked them, "What are you seeking?" And they said, "The mercy of God and yours." And then they get up, and then they make profession in the hands of the Father Prior on the rule book. Constitutions. Same thing. The Infinite Jesus of Prague. The Infinite Jesus of Prague is a big devotion with us because we always need money. so every week or every month from the 17th to the 25th we try to solemnize it. Solemnize it a bit. Render it more solemn every with
Especially for the schools.
yes, because it's basically especially for the material needs of our schools. That I'll tell you. This is the side. This is a side oratory. This oratory dates also from the 12th century. It's attached to the church, and many people wonder why there's an oratory just so close to the church. The historians conjecture that this was for the lepers because there was a leper colony nearby, and it was a separate church for them, so that they wouldn't go to the main church, but the other people were, because they had to stay separated.
Okay.
And the conjecture as well that the oval ceiling permitted the priest to confess the lepers without being too close. If there's an acoustic effect, it's less noticeable now because the floor is maybe a meter higher than it was in the beginning. But if you put your head, there's one person on one side and one person on the other side, they whisper. There's an acoustic effect where you can hear even if you're not too close. This is the same altar. There's the procession. This is a Dominican devotion. Once a month, there's a procession in honor of the Infant Jesus of Prague, and we process with him ceremonially to the oratory when we come back. This is an Easter morning procession where they make the tour of go around the convent. This is the Corpus Christi parade or procession in the neighborhood just around the convent. This was quite an event. This was a procession for the Immaculate Conception of the 8th of December in the streets of Angers. Ah, yes, I'm sorry. It's not the same. This is when the Virgin Pilgrim came to Angers, and we went in. This was actually in the streets of Avrille, but I think there might be another picture of the 8th of December when they. This is the same thing. Yeah, same thing. This gives you an idea of sort of the setting of the convent. It's basically in the countryside. It's about not even 10 minutes from the train station, and yet it's in the countryside. I mean, it's just on the outskirts of town, and on one side it's blocked by the highway, but the highway is hidden behind, so you can't really. You don't even notice it's there. And the other side there's a city park. With a pond, and so it's just nature on one side. The other side, it's the quiet neighborhood, and so you feel like you're out in the middle of this
Where
country.
geographically is Avrille?
I thought there was a map, but there's it's in the western part of France. You have Paris in the middle. And I don't know if you know.
West.
Yeah, the west. It's the
Center
western.
west of France.
Center
Near
west.
Vendée, near
I don't know if you know where Nantes is.
Yes,
Yeah,
I know
it's basically on the way to Nantes, just almost as far as west as Nantes.
près de la Vendée avec les Martyrs.
Yeah, in fact, it's really close. It's just on the upper. It's part of the Vendée. Actually, the Vendée militaire. It makes it's part of the. You've probably heard of the Vendée uprising.
Yes.
That's the French Revolution.
Martyrs, 2000 Martyrs.
Yeah, in fact, oh yeah, I hope there's a.
parishioner from the Vendée.
Yeah, we have even more. Oh, you have a parishioner here.
For the Vendée. Yes.
Oh, okay. There was nearby. There were over 2,000 Christians martyred during the French Revolution because the revolutionary the infernal columns came through to burn everything on their path, and it's a long story. In fact, it's quite horrible what they did because the revolutionaries took control of Angers. Angers is the big city right next door to Avrille. And at the time, the men who were of fighting age were farther away. They were, I think, in Brittany at the time. And so what the revolutionary soldiers did, they rounded up all of the older people, the children, the women who were suspected of being faithful Catholics, and they put them into the churches of the town, which had been converted into prisons. But there were so many of them. I mean, the prison, each church had like hundreds and hundreds of prisoners in them, and it was just overflowing. And so what happened was it was actually I'm not sure, but might have been the owner of the convent at the friary at the time, who was because it was a farm at the time, and it was, as I told you, fell into private hands before the revolution, and so he had many fields and he said, he contacted the revolutionaries and he said, if your prisons are overflowing, send them here and kill them in my field. They'll make good fertilizer for my fields. And so there was regular processions where they would lead them from Angers to Avrille, and they dug trenches, and there were 2,000 people shot and put in the trenches. And what was it? There was something. And so actually what happened was just after the revolution was in that happened all over France, basically, well, all over the Vendée region in any case. But in a lot of cases after the revolution, in an effort to be conciliant and to forget the past, a lot of these tragedies were forgotten and were sort of put under the rug. Except here, this was one of the places the only place in France where immediately in 1815, after Napoleon fell, and there was a bit more of liberty, the faithful bought the fields right away, and they built a church, and they commemorated the martyrs. And when the papal nunciates came shortly after, he congratulated them, saying, "I've made a tour of France, and I haven't seen anywhere else where they kept the memory alive of the martyrs." And so, in fact, every Sunday, the faithful would walk from Angers. They would follow the same path that the martyrs took to Avrille, and there was a pilgrimage they called the Field of Martyrs, and it was a pilgrimage up until Vatican II. There was you can still see today the buildings that were built to receive the pilgrims, and in fact we credit them with being able to found the friary here, because it would be too long to go into details, but when the fathers showed up and they wanted to buy the church and found a friary and a religious community, they were not well received. They were like the town actually wanted to sell. They wanted to dismantle the friary and sell it to build houses. And so we credit the martyrs with their protection and being able to found the. This is the oratory in the novitiate. Still the same when they're praying to the Infant Jesus of Prague. The refectory. This is the prayers before meal. The prayers. Okay, during the meal, of course, we eat in silence. There's a brother who reads a book during the meal, and I can tell you what a great thing. This is we've been able to read or listen to so many books that we wouldn't have had the time to hear without that, because you can read it.
Why do they have their cowls in the previous picture?
When
When they were eating?
When they're eating, because that's just the custom. We eat with the cap, the hood. Don't ask me this. That's one of the major. That's one of the most common, the frequently asked questions about why did you put the hood on at that moment when there's just. Well, all I can tell you is this tradition. There's certain times where we have to wear it. Other times when we take it off. This is recreation because, as I said, we're following the day. That was midday with the lunch. After lunch, we come to the cloister. It's the only time of the day where we were allowed to talk in the cloister, and that's in the cloister before leaving to go for a walk for the recreation. Sometimes there's work to do during the recreation, like you're peeling apples or recreation. This was one of an American actually. He was came to delight us with his harp music. Other times there's little things to do during the recreation. This is an outing. Sometimes we normally it's supposed to be once a month. Sometimes that's not so often, but an outing in the countryside around the convent.
Winter.
This is what they call winter in Avrille. I'm from Buffalo, New York, so for me winter looks a bit different than that, but a bit whiter. Okay, this is just recreation time. This is our woods. We're blessed to have a bit of woods around where we can walk and stay in private.
With the cemetery.
Right, with the cemetery. Another outing. Recreation.
Of course.
Class for the these are the lay brothers. As you see, the lay brothers have the black hood and a black scapular, and they don't have the crown because that's their habit. And there's one priest who's assigned to give them courses and to organize the manual labor of the convent. There's one, they have secretary work, kitchen, sewing. This is actually we have an artist among us. There's one of our lay brothers is very talented so he's I don't think we have a picture of it, but he just sculpted a magnificent Sacred Heart statue. But he's also a painter. That's prayer in the cloister, secretary work. He also makes our bread. We have a traditional bread oven.
Pizza.
Actually, he does make pizza, but once a year there's a Christmas.
It's Italian.
And this is a chapter. Okay, this in every every monastic community. It depends on the community, but there's once or twice or 3 times a week. There's a chapter meeting where all the brothers assemble into the chapter or chapter room to exchange prayer intentions, to give news, and then Father gives a few spiritual counsels or news, and then at the end we proclaim our faults, our exterior faults. It's not a confession, but anything that was public, like I dropped a pitcher while I was serving at the table or something like that, and then the Father prior gives a penance at the end. This is, I think, Vespers. Yes, served Vespers. This is the benediction of the Blessed Sacrament in the Dominican rite with the deacon. This is Easter. I don't know why that's there, but Easter ceremonies. The month of May. Well, this is Compline. Every night at Compline, there's a procession in honor of the Blessed Virgin Mary, where we leave the church and go to the portico, the vestibule, and this is a custom. It doesn't date from Saint Dominic. It dates from his successor. About 10 or 15 years after the foundation of the order, there was demonic attacks against all the Dominican friaries. And the successor of Saint Dominic started the costume. He said, just to save us from the demonic attacks, we're going every night to a procession in honor of the Blessed Virgin Mary with holy water. And as soon as they did that, the demonic attacks ceased. And so it's a custom that stays with them. This is another outing at Fongeau. This is where Saint Dominic started his apostolate in France. So it's where Saint Dominic frequently stopped. This is a profession ceremony for taking the habit. That's why they're not yet shaved. Their heads aren't yet shaved. The habit taking ceremony. Voilà, I'm going faster. Voilà. Voilà. The same thing. Voilà. This is we were happy to have we were blessed to have an ordination ceremony when our 3 candidates were refused. No, this was before that. No, this was before that. Before that. I don't know why we asked Bishop de Marie to come, but he came and ordained them subdeacons. Voilà. This is okay. This is good. This is in Bel-Air. When our 3 candidates were well, I don't know if this is a long story, but they were on retreat, preparing to be ordained deacons when we received a call from Bishop Fillet, or from the secretary of Bishop Fillet, saying, if we sign a deal tomorrow, are you with us? And we said, tell us what deal? Tell us what. Can we read this deal before we say yes or no? No, you have to trust us. And so we said, give us at least 48 hours. And a couple hours later, they called back saying, no, it's too late. And so the brothers were called back. They couldn't be ordained that year. So they were ordained later at Bel-Air. That's why it's not at Écône, it's in Bel-Air. And voilà.
Benedictines.
Voilà, with the Benedictines. And at the same time with the Franciscans, who had been refused their ordination as well. This was before that. This was a couple years before. This is an ordination in Écône. So you see the mountains in the background. First Mass. This is the benediction before leaving on a preaching mission. Father and I received that before coming to the United States. We prostrate ourselves, and then Father Prior blesses us. This is sermon. These are children from the school. Okay, this is after the screen. This is the boys from the boys' school receiving the benediction after their Mass, the blessing after the Mass.
Doctrinal session.
Yeah, this is one of the doctrinal sessions. Every year we have it's called. Well, I won't get into that. This will be too long. I'm sorry, but there's a study session every year to study the combat for the faith and the enemies of the church. Let's call it. This is the boys' school. Okay, we have a secondary boys' school. It goes from 6th grade to graduation. There's about 80 boys, and it's in this building that you see behind it. It's called the Priory. It was the priory near. It was. It dates from the 17th century. It was sort of the lay prior of the friary. At the time, there was a noble who was sort of the titulary prior of the convent, even though he wasn't religious, and he lived in this manor house nearby. And so we actually were able to obtain it and turn it into a boys' school. Voilà. This is a boys' camp. Every year there's a boys' camp in the boys' camp. Another doctrinal session with Bishop, the Bishop Williamson. Voilà. Our doctrinal review, mission in Philippines, South Africa, India, St. Mary's.
It was in St. Mary's.
Voilà.
Gabon.
Gabon. Gabon. Oh yeah, that's right. Gabon. This is the priory. This is the main house where the boys' school is. Boys' school, construction of the boys' school. Boys' school. The construction of the road that leads to our convent is famous for its potholes. This is the Assumption Day procession. We always make a station at the boys' school because it's a beautiful setting. The chapel of the boys' school. Our library, the new library that was built 6 or 7 years ago. Voilà.
Library.
Voilà. Confirmations at the convent. The blessing of the library. Blessing of the Way of the Cross. Boys' school. Recreation of the boys' school. That's the dormitory of the boys' school. It's a house in the neighborhood just next door. Silent Night Mass with the boys from the boys' school. Procession. Voilà. This is one of the classrooms in the boys' school. So voilà, 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 c'est fini.
Ça, c'est the sister, c'est sister.
Voilà, this is the contemplative sisters next door.
A few words on the sisters.
There's not much to say about them. How do you stop it?
So,
That's
the
what's-
feminine branch.
Is that it?
Sorry?
How do you stop it? It's already 5 minutes late. Okay.
Okay.
So I went a bit fast. I don't know if you have any questions.
What's the nationality breakdown of the monks who are in Avrille?
There's a jet with Japan, Poland, Belgium, Switzerland, France,
All the
Brazil.
continents except Africa,
Yeah, all the continents except Africa.
for the moment.
Yeah.
Too many French.
Canada. No, I think it's the foreigners almost outweigh the French. I think now. There's almost most of the priests are French, but and,
Yeah, Brazilians also.
right. Brazilian,
South America now. Might be good soccer players too.
the Brazilians are the best ones. The best ones.
Father, the last thing I would suggest you to do, because it's a beautiful story. I told them the other day, but I didn't have too much the details about Noel Pino, Father Noel Pino, the man who was martyred
Father.
during the French Revolution. It's a beautiful
Yes, because
story.
there was the priest at the French Revolution. They had to un serment,
To make it
An oath.
oath
an
to the
oath to the
government.
revolution. Yet, because the revolutionaries wanted to make a schismatic church, separated from Rome, and all the priests has to make to, and those who refused were exiled. But many priests stayed discreetly, secretly in their parish, and hiding in farms or in woods, and to give the sacraments to the faithful. And Noel Pino was one of them, not far from Avrille, where we are. And one day he was arrested, and he was condemned to death. And the judge was an apostate, a priest, and who hated the religion, the Catholic religion, because of his apostasy. And to mock him, and he was condemned to death, to the guillotine. Yes, and to mock him, he asked him to have the vestments of the mass to go to death. So he went to death with the soldiers and in the streets of Angers with the castle. And, yes, and it was, and I mean the chasuble, yes. And he put his chasuble for his last mass, and this was like a procession. And when he climbed the steps, yes, he said, "Introibo ad altare Dei." And that's a wonderful story. And he was beatified by Pope the 11th, Pius the 11th. It was a beautiful story of a priest. We have many priests who were martyrs in France and the Revolution. Yes. And because of all these martyrs, the Catholic faith didn't disappear in France, because the revolutionaries wanted to destroy the Catholic faith. Essentially, the French revolutions was anti-Catholic, to destroy the faith. And our king was killed and guillotined because he was Catholic, and because he refused to sign the
constitutional
the constitution. He refused to oblige the priests to make this oath. Yes. Good. Finished.
Please give us your blessing.
Yes, perhaps we can sing the Salve Regina. Where is the Blessed Virgin?
Well, there's one there.
Ah, there is one there, yes. Salve Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, et spes nostra salve. A te clamamus, exules Filii Hevae, a te suspiramus, gementes et flentes, in ac lacrimarum vale. Ea ergo, advocata nostra, illos tuos misericordes oculos, ad nos converte. Et Iesum benedictus fructus ventris tui, nobis post hoc exilium ostende. O clemens, o via, o dulcis Virgo Maria. We give our blessing. Benedictio Dei omnipotentis, Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti, descendat super vos et manet semper. Amen. We pray for you, pray for us.
Thank you, Father, for coming.